Hi, Teresa! Surprise! Sam's here too for today's video.
Any interference. Okay, bye.
So, this week, oh my gosh, it's going through our third performance. That's really scary. But last week's performance, I felt significantly better about... Hi, Sam. I felt significantly better about last week's performance than the first performance. It just felt like there was so much more of a flow, and there was so much more confidence and security in the show and everything that we were doing. And I just felt more comfortable with my role, and I felt more amped up and energized to do this thing. Something that was really successful, it was the transitions in between all the different scenes, the vault scenes, and when the electrons were exiting, and there just seemed to be a really nice rotation and flow going, and there was never two people trying to go off and get on the same side at the same time, which was really important. And the kids, you could see like their attention and their heads like circling back and forth. And something that was revealed to me was that the kids are really emotionally in tune with the show more than you'd expect them to be. Like when I was with Brenda Breaker at the Breaker scene, and I was like, but if I turn off Brenda, then maybe Dr. Watt will never get out of the wall and he'll be stuck there forever. And I just remember some kid locking eyes with me, and he was saying forever, and like he shouted it, and it didn't sound like he was shouting it, but he said it with such emotion. He was like forever, as if he felt like Dr. Watt was his best friend being stuck in the wall. So it was really revealed to me how when there is clarity and when the show is concise and to their ability of understanding, it just works so well, and they feel it like we want the characters to feel, like we want to feel it for our characters. What I'm learning about the show is that it has a natural flow, and that we all just need to be there to support one another and be aware of how each of us are feeling in our day, and that everyone's going to have having a different day on that Friday morning. Everyone's going to wake up feeling differently, and everyone's going to have something different going on after that, and that we just need to be respectful of those bodies and that space, and just be there to support one another. And that's how we're going to be the most successful, because just like how our characters all have different backgrounds and different stories, we all have different backgrounds and different stories. So just being mindful of that is super important. This week's performance is for older kids, which is a little nerve-wracking because this show has definitely been a hit with the younger kids, and I think that it's been because of the magical premise of the shrink ray and all of this stuff. But these kids, they're 8, 9, 10, 11, they know that there ain't no shrink ray. But I think that in order to, I anticipate that there's not going to be as verbal and amazed reactions. They're kind of just going to be watching it as if it's a show, you know. They're going to be like, oh yeah, that's cool, these people are cool. And I think that they're going to be more invested in the actual dancing parts of it, the actual parts of it where we're acting. And I think that we really need to hone in on those things and make those things our strength this week, because that's what they're really going to be invested in. This is when they're starting to gain control of their bodies and understand their bodies and make their own choices about themselves. And potentially dance could be one of them if they see this show. So I think that's really important for us to remember. For my character personally, I think that I'm going to be speaking with a different tone, and I might rearrange some of my lines where I'm not necessarily playing Dora, like, where's Dr. Watt? And he's like, it's like, swipe or no swiping up here in the corner. That's Dr. Watt in the wall. But it's going to be more of a monologue and really harnessing the emotion that they'll hopefully get into as well. And as the children get bigger and the space is still as small, I think that it's important to continue, like we did last week, to use the side spaces and to use shallow spacing like we did last week. But it's also important that while these steps and this space gets smaller and the movements get smaller, to use the same energy, especially in upper body, in the face, in places where the audience goes. And I think those are really, really important things to think about. And knowing that you can still embody the same energy and the same passion as you did with the little kids or a bigger space with the older kids. And just knowing that they can handle a little bit more and not being afraid to give them a little bit more and not being afraid to really hone in on like the scientific method side of the whole idea of Dr. Volt, because they get it. They understand it. So that's my shtick for the week.